Palworld and its subsequent success, even in early access, is a direct condemnation of the current state of the video games industry, what it has become, and where it is going. It is also a condemnation of internet discourse, game journalism, and the perceived perception of what people and mainly consumers truly care about. Because at the end of the day, consumers only care about whether or not the game is good, and whether or not it's valuable and worth their time and money. And more often than not, in a mass market sense, that is the only question that matters to most people. Now, for those who may not be in the loop right now, Palworld is a game that many decried as Pokemon with guns. And a lot leading up to its, well, sort of release, it's still in early access. A lot of the coverage has been mainly meme-worthy and how funny it kind of looks, just seeing a lot of designs that resemble things people know from Pokemon, which some of the times aren't even original to Pokemon, but again, pushing that to a side. It was always that game where you got a chuckle out of a trailer and then you just quickly moved on, but with its early access release, it has become an absolute phenomenon. It is breaking and absolutely demolishing many sales figures and records on Steam, despite the fact that it's on Game Pass, which is how I play the game. Just earlier today, it broke over 2 million concurrent players on Steam alone, let alone being also available on Xbox and PC Game Pass. Just on Steam, it broke 2 million. Every few hours, it seems like the game sold, not Game Pass, sold 1 million copies again. What was once regarded as merely a meme game of Pokemon with guns is quickly becoming a legitimate titan of the industry, and a massive breakout success story this early on into 2024. But alongside its success has been controversy, or supposed controversy. From accusations of AI utilization, to questions about the ethical quandaries available in the game due to your treatment of the quote-unquote pals of the game, and what you can actually do in the game, controversy has absolutely rocked Palworld. But that doesn't seem to dissuade people from playing it. It is still selling massively well, and way more than anyone gave it any credit to do. And in my opinion, and the opinion of some people on the internet, it is an absolute condemnation, like I said at the top of this video, of the modern state of video games journalism and internet discourse as a whole, and how over-reliant and over-exaggerated and over-important people believe internet discourse is at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, people just want a good game. And the people that just want a good game and don't care what form it takes vastly outnumber, seemingly, the people that care about a lot of what this internet discourse is about in regards to Palworld and all of its controversies. If anything, it's putting its name back out there so that more people become aware of a game that's kind of like, as my description goes, Pokemon mixed with Breath of the Wild and Minecraft. And I have played the game for a few hours at this point, and I am absolutely in love with the game, because the game at the end of the day is a fundamentally good game, and it is shockingly polished for being this early in early access. I find myself wanting to just continue playing the game when I'm already playing it, and to want to get back into the game the moment I turn it off. I've had friends message me about how much they have been enjoying Palworld and how much they've absolutely been overtaken by it. It is not just a meme, the game itself is genuinely good, and a game would not sell this well if it wasn't underlying good, or if it didn't have underlyingly good aspects to it. And in a lot of ways, it's a condemnation of what Pokemon has become in a lot of ways, because when I talk about the monster battle of genre, most people, rightfully so, will think of Pokemon, because it is the far and away titan of that genre. It's not the only one, but it's the far and away titan of that genre. And over time, because of the influence and significance and power behind the Pokemon IP, it has been allowed to stagnate and be lazy time and time again, with poor releases after poor releases. Now, I think Scarlet and Violet brought to the table some interesting gameplay mix-ups to the formula, but the game itself was wildly unoptimized, looked ugly as sin, and just played poorly. But again, because it's Pokemon, it still sold so well. But there was a growing audience over time, a growing audience of people who have played Pokemon for their entire lives, or for a significant chunk of it, that wanted that gameplay loop, that experience, but in a series that didn't continually dumb down its formula, and dumb down its difficulty and act like as if the consumer could barely press a single button. All of a sudden, Palworld comes along, and its unabashed allegiance to not caring about what other people think was charming to myself and many others. It was a wacky, zany world filled with gameplay mechanics and iterations and ideas that I've always liked and enjoyed, but mashed together in a fun, cohesive whole. Whether it's base building, bonding time with your pals, combat, acquiring new pals, world exploration, or whatever, the game continually gives you new and interesting things to discover, find out about, and experience. And more often than not, the game has no desire to waste your time with mindless animations that keep you out of the experience, or the game feels like they need to hyper-focus you in on because they spent some kind of time developing it. The game is a good game first and foremost. Everything else is secondary or not even considered. Why can I only catch one pal at a time in a Pokemon game or something? Why can I only catch one Pokemon at a time in a Pokemon game? In Palworld, the game is real-time combat. I can just go around, I can capture one pal, and while the ball, or pal sphere in this game, is in the process of capturing it and running calculations for whether the RNG values want to go in my favor or not, I can immediately go on to another pal, fight it, and begin its capturing process again while the other one is still being caught. Like I said before, the first and foremost priority of Palworld is creating a fun, interesting gameplay loop and not to take you out of it. There is lore if you want to experience it, or if you want to completely disregard it, that is your prerogative as the player. And I think a lot of people on the internet are having I would say a come to Jesus moment, but it's more like a come to reality moment here, where they are starting to realize and truly understand that most people do not care about internet controversy. They don't care how long or how many likes a Twitter thread gets, or a Reddit post. None of that is consequential in the long run. If a game is good and provides something that the consumer wants, then people will flock to it. Popular streamer Asmongold put a tweet out on Twitter that has drawn some controversy despite the fact that it is true. Plain and simple. Now I'm gonna throw it on the screen right now. The success of Palworld proves that the only thing customers actually care about is a good game. AI, slavery, bestiality, copyright infringement, it's a video game. These are pretend problems that people don't actually care about. Make good game equals people will buy game. I added the will. Simple. And you want to know the fun fact? He is 100% correct here. It is that simple. Because what may be perceived as massive ethical quandaries to many people on the internet are no more than passing thoughts to most people. Most people are too tired to think. They just want a fun game to play. They want to consume because guess what? They are a consumer. They don't spend their time browsing Twitter to find what new controversy surrounds a new game that's just coming out or whatever, or Reddit or whatever. They don't simply care about it. And whether or not you like that's the reality, it is undeniably the reality. Another example of a game like this that faced massive criticism and controversy within the industry itself was Hogwarts Legacy just last year. I didn't cover the game because I simply don't care about Harry Potter, and I'm personally not the biggest fan of J.K. Rowling. That was my choice at the end of the day though, and it was the choice of many other people to buy the game, because they do like Harry Potter, or they simply didn't care about the controversy surrounding the game. And Harry Potter, Hogwarts Legacy, sold massively. Yeah, it was a massive success last year. I think it was the highest selling game of last year. And this is a reality many people, especially in the industry, and many people that talk about the industry, fail to realize and recognize. People don't care about what you're upset about. These perceived problems and issues that many people on Twitter and online like to expand on and exaggerate, more often than not, are nothing more than issues that no one in any sizable margin cares about. People on the whole simply want a good game. And I've seen a lot of reactions in regards to Palworld and Asmongold and other people's takes on the game, acting as if he is somehow wrong about this issue, or that people are somehow completely and totally wrong on this idea. Because the fact of the matter is, and it's a fact nonetheless of what your perception or opinion or belief is, the fact of the matter is the consumer does not care and could not be asked to care about what goes into the product. People care about the state of the final product. Look at Cyberpunk 2077. When that game released, it was a travesty. It was a cataclysmic failure that nearly torpedoed all the good reputation that CD Projekt Red had developed throughout its time with the Witcher series. But over time, and with the Phantom Liberty expansion, Cyberpunk 2077 became a genuinely good game. Did people hold a grudge? No, because it was a good game. That's all people want. If you provide a good game, people will come. so long as you have a little bit of notoriety and a little bit of word of mouth to spread. If it's a good game, people will come, and that is the same case for Palworld, because say what you will about the game, but most people that go into Palworld and play it love it, I myself included. No one cares about any similarities to Pokemon, which in of itself has a lot of similarities to other franchises like Dragon Quest, which did come before Pokemon. AI is a discussion and a topic that has gained a lot of traction in recent years because of the rapid advancements in AI technology in recent years, when people thought it was far, far away, when in actuality it is creeping up faster than ever before. The potential use of AI in Palworld, no one cares. Or at least no one in significant numbers care. Because again, at the end of the day, for most people, Palworld is a game that is enjoyable, that they want to spend time in and that they want to play. And this discussion ends there for most people. For so long, video games journalism and discussion surrounding video games within the media has focused on topics, controversies, and discussions that most consumers simply don't care about. And whether or not you think that is ethically or morally correct, or what that says about society, is a separate issue. Because again, at the end of the day, most people don't care. They simply want a good game. And they want to know if the game they are interested in turned out to be a good game. They don't care if the game has a controversial issue or not, or if something in the background is controversial in regards to the game. Again, all they care about, for the most part, is if the game itself is good. And to willfully deny that actual reality of the video games industry and consumerism at large is to deny the world itself. Because the objective reality of the situation is that this is the truth. And it has been shown and proven time and time again. And if you want to boycott or not play a game for whatever reason, you have every damn right to do so. But to believe that simply because an issue is important to you, that it is important to everyone else, is the height of delusion itself. And it is my personal opinion that if you boycott a game simply because a lot of other people are boycotting a game, and not for whatever internal reasons or moral or ethical quandary you have with it, then you're boycotting for a wrong reason. And if you end your boycott simply because a lot of other people play a game, or engage in something, and simply because you didn't get enough internet clout, as you thought you would, then I think an internal assessment of your own ethical standings is required. More often than not, especially when it comes to internet discussions surrounding video games, people like to hold a position that they don't genuinely hold for anything else, but they hold it in this one circumstance so they can hold some kind of moral high ground and feel higher than thou in regards to this one internet discussion and this one internet topic. And when you branch the conversation and topic out to any other aspect, you will find that their opinion drastically sways and changes and augments to suit their own personal interests on that issue. It is one of the reasons a lot of people, I believe, indirectly or consequently, do not care about internet controversy surrounding things for the most part. Life is stressful, cold, and harsh in plenty of ways. People just want to play a good game. The conversation begins and ends there. And when games journalism deviates from that overall idea and believes that consumers en masse care about anything else, then they are not only doing a disservice to themselves, but they are doing a disservice to the consumer. Video games journalism is not meant, or should not be meant, to preach down to the consumer base. In my belief, video games journalism exists and critique exists to properly inform the consumer so that the consumer themselves are able to take a bunch of scattered information and to consume it in a far more digestible format so that they can make their own purchasing decision with the intellect at their own disposal and the knowledge provided to them. When video games journalism tries to form some ethical quandary and tries to rope people into believing whatever opinion or belief that they hold, and pretends to stand on a higher moral high ground than anyone else, especially the consumer, then the priorities are twisted, and the reality is disregarded. And we have seen video games journalism and media on the whole, not just in video games, but mainly, especially in video games, because that's what I like to talk about. I love video games journalism. I love covering video games. I love talking about video games. But at the end of the day, most people will just care if the game works and if the game is fun and enjoyable and worth it to them. That is the reality of the system. And when or at least what should be the reality of the system. And when the system itself of video games journalism and media deviates from that single goal, that Polaris star in the night sky, then trust and faith in the media and journalism that is meant to be trustworthy, to properly inform and serve the consumer, is eroded. That trust is eroded and fades away. Reputations decline, and more people stop caring. And in recent years, especially now with Palworld, we are starting to realize, and more people are starting to have this moment, where this practical reality is crystal clear. Or at least becoming clearer and clearer by the day, and at this point, with the success of Palworld, by the hour. And by every million copies that this game ends up selling in just early access. It is a condemnation, and I said at the top of this video, Palworld and the success of Palworld is a direct condemnation of the current state of video games journalism and media and internet discussion. It is also a representation of how little people en masse care about internet controversies and drama, especially when it concerns video games. People just want a good game. Anything else is not even secondary because it's largely not even considered. And with that, I'll call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, go play some video games if you can, and leave a comment down below with what game you have been enjoying a lot recently. Is it an old game? Is it a new game? Let me know. I'd love to hear what video game you have been really enjoying lately. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.